Right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim ji. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Syed and I'm head of digital banking at UBL. Welcome to UBL Roshan Digital Account webinar, exclusively for our overseas Pakistani friends living in the UK and European countries. The significance of this webinar is highlighted by the fact that recently the State Bank of Pakistan has launched pound sterling and euro denominated Naya Pakistan certificates offering highly attractive returns. So we're looking forward to an informative and engaging session. We have over 500 registered participants in this webinar joining us from all over the world, and thousands more are watching live on our social media platforms. We have a distinguished guest here with us today. I would like to request Mr. Shahzad Dada, President and CEO UBL, to officially kick off the session and introduce our guests. Over to you, Shahzad.
Thank you, Sharjeel. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Really delighted to welcome all of you on this exclusive webinar with a esteemed guest lineup, which will talk about investment opportunities for overseas Pakistani. As most of you may know, UBL is one of the largest banks in Pakistan with a very strong presence in the UK as well. And as being a responsible corporate citizens of Pakistan, we appreciate it's our duty to play a pivotal role in the development of the country's economy. And for that same reason, we have remained on the forefront of this all-important Roshan Digital Account initiative, which has been led ably by the State Bank of Pakistan and the Government of Pakistan, with the Prime Minister personally taking full ownership of this very important initiative, along with Dr. Baqir, in which to date we have raised over $700 million through 100,000 accounts. So it's been extremely very well received, and something that we'll be talking a little bit more about in the next hour. Last month, we were graciously awarded as the top bank in terms of number of RDA accounts opened in Pakistan by the Honorable Prime Minister. And this month, we have won the Best Digital Bank award by Asia Money, second year in a row. So Alhamdulillah, it's been well recognized, all the efforts that have been made in this front, both at the government level and at the UBL level as well, and State Bank. We would like to recognizing our duty to help overseas Pakistanis manage their finances in Pakistan in a simpler, better, and faster manner across all fronts. I would like to now introduce our esteemed guest speakers that have joined us to talk about this important initiative over the next hour. While we will be going in the order, but we have obviously we are joined by His Excellency Mr. Mausam Khan, Pakistani High Commissioner to the UK, Dr. Reza Baqir, the Governor of State Bank, Dr. Murtaza Syed, Deputy Governor of State Bank, Lord Zamir Chaudhry, and Mr. Faisal Mia. So with no further delay, let me start off by introducing our first speaker, Mr. Faisal Mia. Faisal Irfan Mia, who's the founder and the managing partner of Liquidity Finance, the leading emerging markets broker-dealer boutique with offices all over the world. And he was previously head of emerging markets trading for Lehman Brothers and Morgan Stanley. He's also been investing over the last 30 years into Pakistan in various forms and shapes. With that, Faisal, I would like to invite you to share your views about the investment opportunities across the emerging markets, and in particularly in Pakistan, and especially under the Naya Pakistan certificates. How do you see that? How do they fare vis-a-vis the relative opportunities available to British Pakistani residents? So over to you, Faisal.
Thank you, Shahzad. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Faisal. I am here today addressing you guys as an investor, in my capacity as an investor. I'm not representing the State Bank of Pakistan or UBL. And Shahzad has been kind enough to ask me to share my experiences. I was an early adopter in the Naya Pakistan certificate, and I would like to share with you the reasons that went behind my investments. So my day job is to invest in emerging markets and help people invest in emerging markets, all the way from Philippines and Ukraine and Egypt, El Salvador, Argentina, and of course in Pakistan. So I have prepared a few pictures for you guys to give me 1 second if I can get this up. to try to share this with you. My apologies in advance because I don't know the background of the people on this call. So some of it might be very basic to the seasoned investors. Now, when we look at Pakistan, obviously it's a pretty large country, the fifth population in the world. And when we think of our peer countries, we think of countries such as Egypt and Indonesia and Turkey. But unfortunately, when you look at the size of the economies, you will see that Pakistan fits in more with some of the smaller countries like South Africa, Bangladesh, etc. But the size of the economies in themselves are not the highest correlation with the country's ability to pay you back. If you take the example of, for instance, Argentina, which is a very popular emerging market country, on this graph of ranking economies by GDP, it would fall somewhere between Nigeria and Thailand. It's about 440 billion of GDP. But the country has already defaulted 9 times since its independence in the early 1800s. So what do fixed income investors look at in terms of taking risk and getting the reward in terms of the various countries? They've come up with a rating system that they very imaginatively have called ratings, credit ratings. And on this list, if you take a look at the countries that are in the neighborhood of the credit rating of Pakistan, we see Pakistan is a low single B rated country. Now, for the uninitiated, let me explain to you what credit ratings is. It's very simple. You start at the top with the AAA rating. Very few countries are AAA anymore. Then AA, single A, then triple B, double B, single B. And when it goes from triple B to double B, that's where it goes from investment grade to junk rating. So you can see that the Pakistan as a credit risk, as an investment, is deep in junk territory. So the question is, why is that? And the reason for that is that the debt burden of Pakistan, the debt to GDP ratio, is fairly on the high side. Over decades and decades, we have accumulated a lot of debt. And even when we compare it to other nations, compared to our own GDP, it's a risky country. But what that does do is it gives us a very high return compared to some of the other emerging markets. And I will tell you how that ties into the Naya Pakistan certificate. So this is a credit derivatives graph. Credit derivative CDS is very basically, if you wanted to get insurance on a country not defaulting, you would buy credit default swap. So this is, the higher risk a country is, the more you would have to pay in terms of the value that you're going to have to receive for that country. So I have ordered these countries in their credit rating from left to right as they deteriorate. And you can see Pakistan is towards the bottom end of the credit rating spectrum. But in terms of where the credit default swap trades, the CDS, it's the return that you get is not very high compared to some of the countries like Tunisia, which is slightly higher rated, and even Ukraine, which is much better rated, but yields about the same. And what is the reason for that? The reason for that is that Pakistan as a country, even though it is very highly indebted, does not have a lot of external debt. In fact, if you look at the tradable external debt, which gets marked to market every time, Pakistan has about 6.3 billion worth of Eurobonds. I'll take you to the next graph, and this is the one to pay attention to. The blue dots that you see on this graph are the 6 Eurobonds that Pakistan has outstanding. The 21, 22s, 2024s and 25s, and then up to 27. There's a old 2036 out there as well. But what that yield curve tells you is obviously like a normal yield curve, left to right, sloping upwards. The longer the time that goes on, the more commensurate reward you want for taking that risk. And it's a relatively flat curve so that the difference keeps going up at uniform intervals. Now, the green dots, which are not very well labeled, on this graph, are the Naya Pakistan certificates and their commensurate yield that is being offered by the state bank. As you can see, there is a generous pickup to the Eurobonds. Now, previously, if you're an overseas Pakistani and have a decent net worth, you would go through a private bank or something and go and try to buy the Eurobonds for Pakistan to get a dollar risk, dollar return on your money. These Naya Pakistan certificates, especially at the front end of the curve, the 3-month, the 6-month, and the 1-year ones, are very generous. If you ask my opinion as an investor, it's actually too generous. And there's a good reason for it being too generous. And I'll tell you about that. But before I tell you about that, let me tell you about the overall global macro environment. This is the US 10-year Treasury yield. The reason I have it up there is globally, this is recognized as the risk-free rate in the world. This is a 40-50-year graph, and you can see that over the last 35-40 years, there's been a secular decline in the yield. So interest rate environments have been getting better and better, or lower in interest risk. And this is not a 1 to 5 year, 1 to 10 year trend. This has been over 30-40 years. So presently, any of you who have money in banks in the UK or Canada or US or anywhere in Europe, you will realize that you are getting close to no interest rate on your money. So when we put the Naya Pakistan certificates in that context, commensurate with its risk, which is represented very well by the Eurobond curve, you will see that the return is very high. So as I said in the beginning of the conversation, I'm sharing with you why I, as an investor, got involved and participated in the Naya Pakistan certificates. It has a lot of flexibility because you can buy any tenor, and if you take your money out early, you just automatically get compensated for the next longest tenor. Other than that, the yield, as you can see from this particular picture, has been very generous, where there's a pickup of 200 basis points plus on the Eurobonds. With that, I'll end the formal presentation and leave any other things to the question and answer session.
Thank you, Faisal. So in a nutshell, you're a bull on this NPS certificates or not?
I am, and Shahzad, if you ask me, even though we have State Bank representatives here, I don't think this is going to last very long, because as soon as Pakistan is able to tap the Eurobond market, they will be able to get a lot more money at much cheaper rates. Now, it's good to have NPC certificates because non-resident Pakistanis, it's going to be stickier money. But I don't think the State Bank needs to offer anything like the kind of yields it does in the future to attract this money.
Okay. Well, to answer that question and many more, and tell us a little bit more about the amazing success that Roshan Digital Accounts have had, plus the NPC certificates and the details about it, I'm delighted to introduce Dr. Murtaza Syed, Deputy Governor and the brainchild behind the Roshan Digital Account. I remember sitting down with him when he had initially joined, and the thoughts that he had, because we had tried to do it once before. It did not work. So he really wanted to understand why it did not work. And then clearly, I think between him and Dr. Baqir, I think they were able to really put something together along with the banks. And I think it's been so far indeed a success. So Dr. Murtaza Syed, who has over 20 years of experience in macroeconomic research and policy making, who has worked with IMF for 16 years before joining State Bank of Pakistan last year. And most recently, he was the advisor to the IMF Institute for Capacity Development, overseeing planning and implementation of IMF training and technical assistance program across the world. It's a real pleasure to have him. And Dr. Syed, if you could just share with us the finer points of the RDA along with NPC certificates, and perhaps tell us why people listening on this call should come and put their money in Roshan Digital Account. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shahzad Saab. Honorable Lord Chaudhry, His Excellency High Commissioner Muazzam Khan Saab, my old friend. Thank you so much for inviting us for this webinar. We're very excited to be talking to so many people in the UK. The UK has a special place in my heart. I was a graduate student there many, many years ago, and both my kids were born while I was a graduate student. So the UK resonates with me very, very on a personal level as well. So I'm hoping that everybody listening on this call is doing okay during these crazy times. Corona has affected obviously the whole economic landscape and also all our lives in ways that we could not have imagined. I hope everyone is doing well during these times. I'll turn Shahzad Saab to a short presentation in a minute, but I just wanted to react to a couple of things that I heard from Faisal Saab, and I thought it was an excellent presentation. Just a couple of points I wanted to add. One was, it's true that we are offering a premium on our Eurobond rates as they're currently trading. And this was deliberate, because you must remember that the Roshan Digital Account at its heart is a product that we have brought especially for overseas Pakistanis. And it's our way of really thanking them for all the years of support that they have been giving to the Pakistani economy incessantly through good times and bad, through their remittances and through their faith in the country. I think Prime Minister Imran Khan refers to overseas Pakistanis as Pakistan's greatest asset. And that's really true. And for the first time, I think with this product, we were looking at what overseas Pakistanis need rather than what Pakistan needs from overseas Pakistanis. And we really thought that we should come up with a way to connect them with the Pakistani banking system that is seamless, that is secure, and that offers them very, very good returns. And it is true, as I said, that there is a premium on the market rates on the Eurobond, but we think this is for a good reason, because this is especially for our overseas Pakistanis. And it is true also, as Faisal Saab said, that this is not going to last forever, in the sense that these rates are bumper rates that we're using right now to be able to show people that this is a good product. And in the future, these rates could be adjusted. But right now, we have no intention of touching the rates. These are the rates that we have committed to. And these are the rates that we have full confidence that we can offer a return on. I think the other thing that I will say in response to what Faisal Saab was saying was that Pakistan, though our credit rating is low, something new is happening in Pakistan right now, something that has never happened before. And the Roshan Digital Account is only one indication that things are changing. But if you look around, the economic ministry, the state bank, is now being run by technocrats for the first time in a long, long time. And so our economic is really coming back into order. We are committed to better macroeconomic management and better growth prospects going forward. We're working, as you know, with the IMF. We have a whole reform program. The IMF is fully on board with our reform program. And that should give confidence, I think, to everyone out there that, Pakistan's future is bright. And this is a good time to be thinking about investing in Pakistan. So with those just initial thoughts, let me just run through very quickly 6 or 7 slides that I have that will just make it clearer to everyone on this webinar what exactly the Roshan Digital Account is, how you can open one, what you can do with it, and some useful resources that I think people should keep in mind. As you said, Shahzad Saab, we're very happy that the start has been very, very strong. It's only been 6 months since we launched the scheme, and we already have, as you said, over $700 million that have come in through these accounts. We have 103,000 plus accounts opened. And it was only a month ago that we marked the $500 million threshold with the Prime Minister in Islamabad. So in the last month alone, we've had $200 million come into these accounts. So very, very good start, but we really need the help of everyone listening on this call today to help us promote this and make this even better known among the diaspora in the UK. So how does the Roshan Digital Account actually work? What are the main features of it? There's 3 things I think that you need to keep in mind. First is that the Roshan Digital Account, for the first time ever in Pakistan, allows you to open an account without having to visit a bank branch, without having to go to an embassy. You can just do it from the comfort of your home, wherever you have an internet connection. You can log in. You can open an account either in Pakistani rupee or most major foreign currencies of the world. You can open the account either in a conventional form or an Islamic form. And if you have everything ready, your account can be opened within 48 hours, with just a few mouse clicks. The second important feature of the Roshan Digital Account to keep in mind is that once you've opened the account, we have made a lifestyle suite of products available to the overseas Pakistani. Not only can they perform all banking activities in Pakistan, but they also have access to a wide range of attractive investment opportunities, specially designed for them, of which the Naya Pakistan certificate is an important component. And the third very important feature of these accounts is that they're fully repatriable. This means that any time that the overseas Pakistani wants the money back, they can get it back without any hassle, without having to get any regulatory approval from the state bank. And it's a very, very seamless process. In terms of opening the account, the way to do it is to actually either visit the state bank website, and you will see the Roshan Digital Account very prominently displayed in our banner, and you can click and go to the official website, or you can type Roshan Digital Account State Bank in your Google search bar. It will take you to the state bank's website. Another way of doing it is to actually go to the website of any one of our 11 participating banks, and there too you will find very prominently instructions for how to begin opening your Roshan Digital Account. You can open it with any of these 11 banks. We're very happy that the 3 banks on the right, Habib Metro, Bank Al Habib, and Dubai Islamic Bank, have recently joined the initiative. So the total number of banks is now 11, and very soon it'll be going up to 15. In terms of the information and documents that you will need to have handy as you are filling in the forms, these have been made very streamlined. We have tried to make these as minimal as possible. And you can see on the left-hand side, this is basically very, very simple information to do with your name, your mother's maiden name, your date and place of birth, email address, phone number, profession, source of income, all very standard stuff. These fields are no more than 20 or 30, depending on which bank portal you're using. And on the right-hand side, you can see that the kind of identity documents that you will need to have with you are also very simple. Just documents to prove that you're an overseas Pakistani, a CNIC, a NICOP, or a point of origin card, Pakistan origin card. You will also need to scan your passport, show a proof of profession, a source of income. If you are, for example, a business, you can, if you're self-employed, you can show a business registration document. If you are working somewhere, you can show a bank account statement or employment letter or a salary slip. If you are a pensioner, you can just show your pension slip. So there are a variety of documents that you can use to be able to show your source of income. You will also take a live photo and a signature, either wet, digital, or electronic. And so, as you can see, the process of opening the account has been made very, very simple, and the identity documents that you need to have with you are very, very small in number. Once you've opened the account, you can do a variety of things with it. One, you can pay bills for your family here in Pakistan, utility bills, school bills. You can do e-commerce, send them gifts. And you can also get ATM and debit cards that you can use anywhere in the world to back your account. The other thing you can do is to invest in Naya Pakistan certificates. I'll say a few words about that in a moment, which are Pakistani government bonds at various maturities that offer excellent returns. And very excitedly, you can also invest in stocks in Pakistan, any equity that is listed on the Pakistan Stock Exchange, as well as mutual funds. And you can buy property, either residential or commercial. Again, you can repatriate the funds through the accounts anytime you want. Let me say a few things about the new features that we have added in response to feedback from the diaspora. This is a key feature of the way we've implemented the Roshan Digital Account. We've kept our ears open in terms of the feedback that we get from the end users, and we've tried to continually improve the Roshan Digital Account. There are 4 things that we've done recently. The first thing is that in response to demand from the diaspora for the Naya Pakistan certificate to not only be available in dollars, but also in euro and the Great British Pound, we've now made that available through the government of Pakistan. You can now purchase Naya Pakistan certificates not only in dollars and Pakistani rupees, but also in euro and Great British Pounds. We've also simplified, very, very simplified treatment of the taxes that come with these accounts. You don't have to fill any tax returns for the investments or the transactions that you make through the Roshan Digital Accounts. They're all treated full and final, which means that at source, there is tax is cut, and you don't have to worry about filing any tax return with the FBR on your investments made through the Roshan Digital Account. You can also see that we have reduced transfer charges. These used to be $40 to $60 per transaction, but now, together with the banks that are partnering with us in the Roshan Digital Account, we've been able to bring these down. There is no charge on inward and outward transfers being cut by the Pakistani banks, and they've been able to work with most of their correspondent banks and intermediaries to reduce the charges to $5 to $9 per transaction now. So much reduced from the $40 to $60 that it used to be before. And finally, we are working to expand products. We're going to add an auto loan very soon. We're thinking of a housing loan and credit cards and other things like this. And in fact, we'd love to hear from the diaspora in terms of what other products they would really find useful in terms of being able to use their Roshan Digital accounts. Let me just say a few words about the Naya Pakistan certificates. As I said, these are special certificates issued by the government of Pakistan, administered by the State Bank. They're available at 3, 6, and 12 months, as well as 3 and 5 years, and early encashment is allowed. They are offering very attractive risk-free returns. In US dollars, the returns go from 5.5% to 7%. In British pounds, which we've just added, they go from 5.25 to 6.5%. These are annualized rates, depending on which tenor you invest in. There is a very simple tax treatment of these certificates. There is no tax filing required by the overseas Pakistani, and there's a simple 10% withholding tax on the profit that is cut at source. You can also invest in these Naya Pakistan certificates in their Sharia compliant forms, if that is the form of investment that you prefer. This is something that we had heard from the diaspora would be very useful. And in fact, we've seen a lot of take up in the Sharia compliant versions of the Naya Pakistan certificate. Again, like with the Roshan Digital Account, this is fully repatriable, so there are no questions asked. Whenever you need the money back from the Naya Pakistan certificate, you can encash and take it back to your country of residence. One other thing I should add is that these Naya Pakistan certificates are also available to resident Pakistanis who have declared assets abroad. So this is a way of attracting the money that is sitting outside to come back into the country. We have been very focused on trying to make sure that there is a very good user experience. We have asked the banks to have constant customer engagement. Live customer support is available 24/7 with these accounts. There are dedicated complaint helplines and emails. They report to us on the initiative on a daily basis. The governor, other senior members of the State Bank look at this data every day. The banks are reporting to us how many accounts are opened, what time it takes to open the accounts, any complaints that are being registered by the users. And we at the State Bank also have a special monitoring unit. We solicit feedback from the diaspora in webinars such as this. We also monitor social media, and we have a special helpline, a special email, rda support@sbp.org.pk, which any overseas Pakistani can use to get in touch with us directly, to give us their feedback, tell us what else they would like to see in the Roshan Digital Account, any problems that they're having. And from time to time, you will have seen this through Twitter, including the Prime Minister himself. We disseminate the number of accounts, the size of the inflows, and other features of the Roshan Digital Account. Let me just end then with a link to some useful resources. The Roshan Digital Account website is one. We also have a website for Naya Pakistan certificates, which you can get to through our State Bank website. It has all the information on the returns and other features of the Naya Pakistan certificate. State Bank is also very active on social media. We have a Twitter account, we have a Facebook account, we also have a YouTube channel. Our Twitter handle is statebank_PAK. And I would encourage everyone on this call to please follow us on Twitter to get the latest information about the Roshan Digital Account and other initiatives that the State Bank is taking. And finally, these are things that are available on the web. We have our TV commercial, we have the governor message for non-resident Pakistanis. We have a variety of videos, including some question and answers, and some brochures that are available to overseas Pakistanis through our websites. So with that, Shahzad Saab, I'll end it, and I look forward to the questions. And we just want to end with a pitch, actually, a request to all those that are listening and have not opened Roshan Digital Accounts to try it. And if they like it, to please tell their friends and their families about it as well, and to get in touch with us with any suggestions that they have about how to improve this product that has been made especially for you. Thank you very much, Shahzad Saab.
Thank you, Deputy Governor. I really appreciate it. And just we'll have questions, and I'm seeing question and answers being raised in the chat, so we'll be taking those. But just to echo Mr. Deputy Governor's pitch to open Roshan Digital Accounts, I would like to say open it with UBL. Just add the last 3 initials to it. So with that, let me now move to His Excellency Mr. Mozam Ahmed Khan, who needs no introduction to this August gathering, but Mr. Mozam Ahmed Khan, who has joined Foreign Services in 1986 and is the current High Commissioner to of Pakistan. He joined in this current role in September 2020. And like I said, he's no stranger. Prior to this, he has served as ambassador to Pakistan to the Netherlands and the UAE. Your Excellency, it would be great to get your perspective from you engage with the Pakistani diaspora on a daily basis and also understand what are the things that they are looking for and how can State Bank, Government of Pakistan and the banks working here assist and ensure that this most important asset of ours, non-resident Pakistanis, are fully serviced.
Thank you, Shehzad. In fact, for keep reminding me that perhaps I am the oldest person in this webinar. So it's been a while. Deputy Governor, State Bank, Murtaza Syed, so good to see you again. Lord Zamir Chaudhry, CEO, Bestway Group. Of course, Shehzad Dada, CEO, United Bank Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, let me first of all extend my sincere appreciation to the management of the United Bank for organizing this event and of course giving me the opportunity to share some thoughts on this very important initiative. UBL and Bestway Group, I think, epitomize corporate responsibility. They have always supported community-centric initiatives and played a significant role in the economic development of Pakistan. It is a matter of great satisfaction that for the first time in Pakistan's history, overseas Pakistanis are being provided an opportunity to remotely open their accounts in Pakistan through a transparent digital process and also benefit from investing in Nia Pakistan certificates. Let me once again commend Governor State Bank and his team, and of course, particularly Murtaza Syed, for this remarkable initiative and for personally spearheading the awareness campaign on this initiative around the world. I would particularly like to acknowledge the State Bank's decision to allow pound sterling denominated accounts in the UK. I'm sure this will go a long way in further promoting Roshan Digital Account here in this country. Talking about other products, and I had the opportunity to discuss it with Murtaza earlier as well. I was really hoping that State Bank would also look into the possibility of providing similar, account or similar facility to the corporate sector as well. So let's see what they say about it and how they look at it. Ladies and gentlemen, being the High Commissioner of UK, let me also say a few words on Pakistan-UK relations and what we have done, the High Commission and the Consulate have done to promote Roshan Digital Account and Nia Pakistan certificate. It goes without saying that United Kingdom is an important partner of Pakistan. It is the third largest trade partner, second largest source of investment, and third largest source of remittances to Pakistan. It also hosts a vibrant Pakistani diaspora of more than 1.6 million. Economic relations between Pakistan and the UK are growing, despite the unprecedented challenges of COVID-19. Our exports have recorded an unprecedented growth of 22% during the first 6 months of the current financial year. Our remittances from the UK have registered an increase of 57%. During the month of February alone, we have seen an unprecedented increase of 100% in our remittances. Following the inauguration of RDA initiative by Prime Minister Imran Khan, the High Commission in London and our consulates across the UK undertook various initiatives to disseminate and share information through one-on-one meetings with community leaders, business organization, and Khuli Kacheris. A mass awareness campaign has also been launched through social media, that is, of course, Twitter and Facebook. I'm very happy to note that the response of the Pakistani diaspora in the UK had been most encouraging. I understand the UK has been the third largest contributor in terms of number of accounts opened so far. I'm very certain that with the right incentives and better projection, this trend will gain further momentum in the days ahead as more and more overseas Pakistani will avail of this opportunity. The initiative of RDA is not only beneficial for the community, but for the country as well. By opening this account, Pakistani living abroad can meaningfully play their due role in the economic development of Pakistan. And in line with the Prime Minister Imran Khan's vision, the Pakistan High Commission would continue to make every effort to better serve our people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Khan. Indeed, you've been a real true champion of promoting RDA, and we can see that with all the back and that we are getting with you. Now on to my next speaker, who, at least for me, needs no introduction, but Lord Zamir Chaudhry, who is well known to the business community in both the UK and Pakistan, is the CEO of Bestway Group and member of the board of directors at UBL. As chief executive of Bestway Group, Lord Chaudhry has driven tremendous growth in businesses across UK and Pakistan. He has regularly facilitated government visits both from Pakistan and the UK for senior government officials on both countries to discuss opportunities to increase trade and investment. And when we were thinking about having him, putting aside self-interest, honestly, I thought, who better to talk about investment and trade opportunities as Bestway Group, and as its CEO, it's one of the largest UK family-owned businesses with over 27,000 people worldwide. And under Lord Chaudhry's stewardship, Bestway has become one of the largest British investors and philanthropic contributor to Pakistan. Additionally, as you know, that he's also in addition to the UK businesses, Lord Chaudhry is also spearheading the tremendous growth and investment in Pakistan under UBL, the second largest bank in Pakistan, and Bestway Cement, the largest cement manufacturer. So with that, Lord Chaudhry, let me ask you to share your perspective and what do you see from an investor's point of view? What are the things that one should look at, and is this indeed a good opportunity for British Pakistani diaspora to invest in? And how do you see Pakistan as an economy?
Thank you, Shahzad. Your Excellency, the High Commissioner to Pakistan, and Deputy Governor, State Bank of Pakistan, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. I am grateful to United Bank and the State Bank of Pakistan for organizing this event. And I'm grateful to His Excellency, the High Commissioner and the Deputy Governor for sparing time to join us this afternoon. As the Chief Executive of the country's largest overseas Pakistani investor, I would like to congratulate the Government of Pakistan and the State Bank of Pakistan on their pioneering initiative of Roshan Digital Account. The idea behind the Roshan Digital Account is to allow and encourage retail investors in Pakistan, and particularly overseas Pakistanis. I personally endorse this initiative. I think the rate of returns offered by the are phenomenal, and the capacity and the capability that this account gives the account holder is also phenomenal. As Dr. Murtaza described it, it's a lifestyle suite of products. They offer not only deposit accounts and saving certificates, but also paying accounts and being able to borrow money for investments and use money for investments, real estate, as well as stocks and shares. I've gone online and opened a Roshan Digital Account myself using the network of United Bank Limited on Monday, and I'm pleasantly surprised and amazed at the speed at which I was able to activate my account. In fact, it was less than 24 hours. I was, all the due diligence paperwork was done, and my account was live. And in fact, I was able to transfer funds from the UK to Pakistan within that 24 hours, without any problem, without any hitch. So, congratulations to you. The technology works, the system works, and it's a phenomenal rate of return that you're offering, fantastic rate of return that you're offering, which is much better than what is being offered in the international market. I'm also proud of the fact that UBL was acknowledged as the largest activator of bank accounts, number of accounts, by no less than the Prime Minister himself. I think about 10 days ago. And I'm very proud of the role the United Bank is playing at this initiative. Our government needs to look at, I think, at the experience of other countries as well with large diaspora populations, where the expatriates have been a catalyst for foreign investment. Countries like China and India have greatly benefited from the expatriates, who have not only provided capital, but also much needed international network, advanced technology, and managerial knowledge. I would like to request the government to offer the right fiscal incentives to the expatriates so that they can invest in the country and unlock its true economic potential. This means creating investment opportunities in various industrial sectors. For example, like power generation. Perhaps we could set up a dedicated company or fund which will allow the expatriates to not only invest in financial products and stocks and bonds, but also is able to invest in industrial undertakings which and participate in the industrialization of the country. And perhaps some of those investments could be under the CPEC projects, or even the NEA Pakistan, or even the power dedicated company, a power company, where the money can be actually channeled and utilized for the progress of Pakistan. The Bestway Group has been actively investing in Pakistan for the last 3 decades. We feel, Pakistan presents a fantastic opportunities for investment because it's a growing country in terms of population. So, there was demand for everything. And as the economy improves and grows, the demand for all the basic things like investment, housing, banking, whether it's steel or cement, technology, cars, everything we need. So there are tremendous opportunities, and we have been bullish on Pakistan, have been continuously investing, regardless of the governments that have been coming in and going out. And yes, we've had our ups and downs, but we feel Pakistan is our country. We are committed to the country, and we have been investing in it regardless of who's in power. And even now, recently, we've set up one of the largest solar power projects is underway already, signed and LC is opened, which is about 45 megawatts. And we are looking at further expansion and other projects are under consideration, I think, which will be kicked off in a matter of weeks, if not days. And and will continue to do so. And we wish the State Bank of Pakistan, the government of Pakistan, the best of luck and in these endeavors and other endeavors. And there is, positive news coming out. If you look at the performance of the stock exchange, performance of the results that are coming out of companies that are publicly listed, it all paints a very good and positive picture that we could all be proud of, and we should have a lot of optimism, and inshallah we will have a bright future. And thank you for organizing this event, and thank you for inviting me to say a few words.
Thank you, Lord Chaudhry. Indeed, what a ringing endorsement about investment and the outlook for Pakistan from somebody who has been indeed extremely the group that has been one of the most successful groups, British groups investing in Pakistan. So with that and no further delay, Dr. Baqir is on live with us. Dr. Baqir, thank you I would like to, before I introduce Dr. Baqir and ask him the question, I think Dr. Baqir has been an architect of this indeed RDA idea, along with Dr. Murtaza, and Dr. Baqir, who has a PhD in economics from University of California, Berkeley, and AB in economics from Harvard. He was appointed governor of State Bank in 2019. And since then, prior to that, he spent 18 years with the IMF, including head of IMF office in Egypt and a senior resident representative in numerous other assignments. But indeed, under his leadership over the last 2 years, we have seen a tremendous change in the way we have been approaching age-old challenges and issues. And to give a breath of fresh air, what we've seen in this RDA, a real sign of innovation and the whole customer centricity and how do we work with our most valuable asset, which again is something that's very near and dear to Honorable Prime Minister, also the non-resident Pakistanis and the British diaspora. So with that, Dr. Baqir, we've gone through the introduction of the product, and we've had some very good observations by a large industrial group under Lord Chaudhry. We have had His Excellency talk about from a Pakistani diaspora perspective. Dr. Murtaza Syed has given a detailed update on the product and its features. And then Faisal Mia, who has given a relative valuation and relative perspective from an emerging market. So over to you, sir, to share with us why are you so gung-ho and so passionate about RDA and Naya Pakistan certificates.
Thank you, Shahzad Sahib, for the introduction, and thank you, Reza, for organizing this event. Let me begin by greeting our High Commissioner Muazzam Saab. Let me thank Lord Zamir Chaudhry for his partnership with us and our earlier conversations when we began on this journey of Roshan Digital Accounts. Let me thank the State Bank team that is with you today, led by Deputy Governor Murtaza Syed Saab, Arshad Bhatti Saab, Sohail Jawad Saab, and countless others in the State Bank who've been working to bring Roshan Digital Accounts. But most importantly, let me thank the 100,000 plus non-resident Pakistanis that have already opened Roshan Digital Accounts and that have already sent more than $700 million into the country within the span of just a few months. I really want to thank the response from the diaspora and say that from the State Bank side, we are very excited that we have started this journey with you. We will continue to bring you exciting news on the Roshan Digital front. And I ask everybody who's listening on this webinar to really tune into our website for the latest information on Roshan Digital Accounts, as well as to follow us on social media, particularly Twitter, where we bring the latest information with regards to Roshan Digital Accounts directly to you. And for those in the audience who have not yet opened one, but are considering to open one, well, what other confidence could you need more than hearing that Lord Zamir himself has opened up a Roshan Digital Account? So if he is opening one, I'm sure that's enough of a testimonial for the others based in UK to consider opening one. And let me also make a request to all those of you who have not perhaps opened one. And my request is that if you do open one, and if you like what you see, you're happy, then please tell at least 5 of your friends or family, because the best way that this spreads is through word of mouth. In my remarks, I want to take a step back and reach out to our diaspora and talk to you a little bit about the following thought that may be in the back of your mind, which is that if you open an account in Pakistan, a Roshan account, you're not just taking a bet on the particular bank with which you have opened an account, but you're taking a bet and you're taking a view on the country itself. And I want to talk to you about why we at the State Bank and many others in the economic team of Pakistan think that the outlook, the economic outlook for Pakistan is decidedly different from what our past has been in recent years. And I want to start at an institutional level. And I want to share with you that stemming right from the Prime Minister and down to his economic team, there is an absolute conviction that we are going to make Pakistan a turnaround situation, an economic turnaround situation. And I want to illustrate by a fact, an example at an institutional level, which is that if you look around, you'll find that some of the key economic policy positions right now, the PM has decided to fill with the technocrats. The Finance Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Hafiz Sheikh, is somebody who not only has had previous experience as a finance minister of Pakistan several times member of the cabinet, but also somebody who has a background in the World Bank as well as in private equity firms, and very highly regarded by the business community as well as the international community. I myself quit my job at the IMF to come and serve the country, inspired by that same very vision that I want to do my part to make Pakistan a turnaround economic situation. And I want to convey that the top economic leadership is committed to this vision and is not going to rest until we achieve that goal. At the State Bank of Pakistan, we have been working to recruit yet more top-level professionals, and I'm very, very excited. Our Deputy Governor Murtaza, he left his very, very promising, exciting career at the IMF, quit it, and joined the State Bankship. I then subsequently recruited Deputy Governor Seema Kamil. I believe the first time a woman has headed a Deputy Governor job, and a person who had a stellar reputation in the banking community of Pakistan, former CEO of UBL Bank. And there are many more things happening at the State Bank as well. So I want to tell everybody that, first of all, at an institutional level, there are lots of exciting changes happening to fulfill that vision of making Pakistan a turnaround economic situation. Now, when you're banking in Pakistan, and especially if you are considering placing your foreign exchange earnings, you must be interested in knowing about the health, the economic health of Pakistan's foreign exchange balance sheet. After all, how well is the country doing in terms of its balance of foreign exchange inflows and outflows? Because if that balance is not one which inspires confidence, then any person who is in the diaspora is entitled to have some concerns. Well, I want to tell you that story about how the foreign exchange balance sheet of Pakistan has turned very significantly over the last couple of years. Because a couple of years ago, Pakistan faced a current account deficit, which is roughly speaking the deficit on the foreign exchange flows that a country has from trade and from remittances. Pakistan faced a current account deficit of about 19 billion US dollars annually. That meant that there was an annual hemorrhage, an annual outflow of that amount, unless the State Bank of Pakistan or others coughed in foreign exchange into the market to fill that gap. Well, today, ladies and gentlemen, in the fiscal year to date, that current account deficit is actually a surplus. So what that means is that that annual drain of about 19 billion US dollars is right now a surplus in favor of Pakistan. In my 18-year career at the IMF and before that 2 years at the World Bank, I worked on many emerging markets, many of which I went to work when they were in the midst of economic crises. And the one lesson that I have learned in my career of working on emerging markets, that amongst the indicators that predicts FX distress in a sovereign is the current account deficit. And those countries that have high levels of current account deficits are more at risk of experiencing a foreign exchange related difficulties. In Pakistan, that is a surplus. So that's point number one. It's a matter of fact. Point number two, how did we correct that large current account deficit into a surplus? Was it some kind of a band-aid, stopgap treatment, a one-off measure, something cosmetic, or was it something a bit more deep? And it is something a bit more deep because the way we fixed the current accounts problem was through an institutional reform. And that reform was to our exchange rate system. For years, Pakistan has had what is considered a fixed exchange rate system, a pegged exchange rate system, which meant that the parity of the rupee to the dollar would be fixed. It would be fixed at a level that was thought to be appropriate by some individual, but at the end of the day, by an individual, whether it was a minister of finance or a governor of the state bank. In June of 2019, we took the bold step and the institutional reform of changing our exchange rate system to a market-based system. And for the first time in our history, we are having orderly two-way movement of the Pakistan rupee, just like most modern emerging markets that have market-based and flexible exchange rates. And that transition from a peg system to a market-based exchange rate is one of the key reasons why today our current account deficit was eliminated. And the reason this is a very important development for anybody looking at the future of Pakistan's sovereign balance sheet is that a market-based exchange rate acts as a shock absorber. It ensures that in future, if there is an unsustainable current account deficit situation, it will not be plugged in by burning reserves and spending them by intervention in the foreign exchange market. But it ensures that the exchange rate will adjust and not require such intervention and therefore preserve the reserves of the State Bank of Pakistan and those of the country, and thereby ensure that our foreign exchange balance sheet remains strong. So that's why it's very important to know that this shift from a fixed exchange rate to a market-based exchange rate is a much better way of fixing a current account deficit. Well, if it is such a good way to fix a current account deficit, why wasn't it done before? And the reason is that most governments, until this government, was afraid of taking that step because some other emerging markets that have tried that step have occasionally also had mishaps, because when you go to a market-based exchange rate, there is no guarantee where the rate might stop. So it required guts. And that vision and those guts, they emerged from the level of the Prime Minister, whose instructions had been that his technical team needs to do its homework to make sure that they are convinced of a measure. And if they are, and if they feel that they have done their homework, then we have the space to take a calculated step forward. And when we started that journey, there were many detractors, there were many people who were saying that if you let the exchange rate float, the country is going to go to the dogs, the exchange rate is just going to spiral out of control. In the event, we floated the exchange rate at around 163. That was in June of 2019. Over the course of several months, instead of falling, instead of weakening, that exchange rate strengthened. And pre-COVID, it was at 154. Today, 1 year after the beginning of COVID, that exchange rate is around 156. It's gone up, it's gone down. And it is the market that has the confidence now to trade the currency and not panic when there are orderly movements in the exchange. Well, this transition of the exchange rate is important not only from that perspective, but I also want to point out that once we did this transition to a flexible exchange rate, and alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, our experience was going very well, and the currency, contrary to the fears of everybody, was actually strengthening. We got, in the form of COVID, the biggest ever test ever possible for an emerging market that has recently floated its currency, and that was the test of COVID, the largest crisis for the world economy since World War II, according to the IMF, the largest crisis for emerging markets as an asset class, the largest crisis for a whole host of countries. The magnitude of capital flows in COVID was unprecedented, the magnitude of outflows. And if ever there was going to be the biggest ever test of a flexible market-based exchange rate, that was it. And I want to share with you that Pakistan has come through that test very well. Many countries today have currencies that are a lot weaker than they were at the beginning of COVID. Look at the Brazilian real, look at the Turkish lira, look at the Russian ruble, look at the South African rand. You will find currencies today even are down around 15 to 25% pre-COVID. Pakistan pre-COVID was 154. It depreciated a little bit to about 168, but then it began to appreciate, and today is at the levels that are in front of you, and a much better performance of the currency than a whole host of emerging markets. So my point is that if our exchange rate regime could survive the test of the largest financial crisis since World War II, we should be optimistic that it is a regime that can weather very well the economic shocks that may come about in the future. And it's one thing that gives confidence to a lot in Pakistan, and certainly to many of us in the State Bank of Pakistan. Now, my story in short was that the foreign exchange balance sheet of the country has improved very significantly. It has improved through an institutional reform of the exchange rate system. That exchange rate system has survived very well the largest test of that any emerging market could face. And today, therefore, it is with confidence that the State Bank of Pakistan brings to you the opportunity to participate in the economic future of Pakistan, to present to you a very simple, safe, secure way to connect to the banking system of Pakistan, to meet all your banking needs, and to invest in the future of the country, whether it is through the savings certificates, whether it is through investment in our stock market, whether it is to investment in our real estate market, and many other products to come. We are very excited about the Roshan Digital Account journey in Pakistan, and we welcome you all to join us and enjoy the same benefits that more than 100,000 Pakistanis currently are enjoying from 100+ different countries around the world. Join us, and we look forward to continuing to improve this offering for you. And I'll end with the byline of the Roshan Digital Account, which is Dur Rehkar Bhi Paas. I know our overseas Pakistanis are far from Pakistan, but the Roshan Digital Account is one way for you to be close to your homeland. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Reza Baqir. Amazing synopsis of the journey that we have been on. And indeed, it's been a very rewarding one, despite some of the, as you said, the worst financial crisis that the world has faced. And with the strong leadership that we have, right from the Prime Minister down to all the way with the State Bank and your team, it's really a delight to be being part of this August group. So thank you very much for your leadership. And with that, I think now it's time to, while we are running slightly behind schedule, I would like to now ask Sharjeel, my colleague, to take on and couple the questions. There are several questions coming. We had several questions that came before this and broader themes. If you can couple them and Sharjeel, direct them to the various speakers as appropriate. So over to you, Sharjeel. Thank you.
Absolutely, Shahad. Thank you very much for that. And I can share with the August panel that there is tremendous engagement on our social media channels, and you can see the number of questions coming up here. In fact, we've received lots of questions as part of the registration process as well. So in the interest of time, what we've done is, although we're responding to each and every question online, State Bank and UBL teams are at work behind the scenes. But there are 3 to 4 themes that we've tried to club, which would address most of these questions. So I would like to start with the first theme, which is around the possibility of opening commercial accounts through Roshan Digital. Is this a possibility? Because there are cash-rich businesses in UK and elsewhere. So there are a lot of questions around if the investments can be made in Naya Pakistan certificate by opening commercial accounts.
Thank you. Let me say something at the very beginning, and then I'll ask Arshad Bhatti Saab. So we clearly see the upside. Okay, let me tell everybody, the benefits of opening this up to businesses are 100% clear. As regulators, it is imperative that we think of both the benefits as well as potential risks. So while we have not taken any final decision, I tell you, we are looking at this. But for you to get the complete picture, I'm going to ask Arshad Bhatti to share with you some of the risks that we are thinking about as we consider this suggestion. We'll come back definitively on this shortly. But Isa, very quickly, if you could share those perspectives, but in a very concise manner, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sharjeel, for the question. Primarily, risk-reward relationship has to be assessed, but one thing that we need to keep in mind is that this initiative is for non-resident Pakistanis, and corporates have residency of their incorporation, the state where they are incorporated. So any business that is incorporated in any state, it is a resident of that state, and the shareholding can change hands. So one risk that we carry is that, for example, today an entity is being owned by a non-resident Pakistani, it can shift the ownership to a local in that jurisdiction. And then there are some other implications that for digital onboarding, we will have to have a process at the back end with the banks so that they can onboard the corporates digitally. That we have to think through. And the banks might have to assess their MLFT risks also while taking the corporates digitally on board. So these are a couple of risk perspectives. Surely the reward is already, as Governor Sahab has mentioned, we see the reward there, but we have to carry out final risk assessment, and then we can discuss it with the industry also. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bhatti Saab. Okay, the second theme is around the security, the safety and security. Now, it has 2 parts. One is of the cyber security element, sending money into Pakistan and then repatriation. And the second part of this theme is the political impact. I think the second part where the concern is around political changes and its implications on the safety of the investment, that has been very well covered by Dr. Reza. So it's the first part of the question. I think if we can give confidence to our participants, that their confidence in Pakistan's banking overall ecosystem, that how secure these financial transactions in and out would be.
Murtaza Saab, who would you like to address this question?
Governor Sahab, I think if Sohail Sahab is online, maybe he's the best place. Sohail Jawad Sahab.
Thank you, Governor Saab and DG Saab. It's a very important question, and the security aspect was on the top of our minds right since we started working on the Roshan Digital Accounts. I can assure you, and I can assure everyone here, that all our participant banks have done their best to make sure that this product is fully secure. There have been various types of security-related testings that have been done. In Pakistan, the financial sector is mandated by State Bank of Pakistan to implement international security standards. So those standards are already applied. And I can assure you that the product is fully secure. We don't only have the security software and hardware in place, security procedures and mechanisms in place, but our processes throughout the industry are devised in such a manner that assures full protection to the data and funds of the customers in Pakistan. Thank you.
While that is said, I will mention a couple of other points. One is, you may wonder why aren't all of Pakistan's banks in the Roshan Digital Account initiative? And one reason for that is that we did an assessment of the technology and the security platforms of the banks before allowing them to come into the Roshan Digital Account family. So that's one perspective. But I will also mention that notwithstanding everything that a regulator does, notwithstanding everything that a commercial bank does to provide security, cyber security, it is incumbent upon the user, the customer, to exercise care and to exercise a little more than common sense, to double check which indeed is the website they are on. And I will also really recommend very highly to always start off with the State Bank website for information on Roshan Digital Accounts so that customers don't end up at any other false website and get misleading information. So there are many things that customers can do themselves, and it's incumbent upon them to be careful whenever they transact online, whether it's Roshan. The same applies to the online banking that they may be doing with the UK-based banks where they are based right now.
Can I add? Can I add that the security they've experienced firsthand is the best in the world because there are two indications. One is the actual your device, and it's confirmed by your mobile phone, and it is exactly the system that we have in the households. So I think it's the best, for voting and access to information in the households. So I think it's the best possible system that you have, and it's world class.
Great, thank you. This gives a lot of confidence to our participants, I'm sure. So we have a large number of students as well watching this broadcast, students in UK, and a lot of questions have come from them. They're suggesting that if the minimum investment limit or requirement can be reduced from £5,000, because even our data at UBL shows that more than half of the accounts are being opened by millennials. So it's a very encouraging sign that the new generation, which has gone abroad, is showing confidence in Pakistan's economy. So the suggestion is that if this limit can be reviewed and if this amount of £5,000 can be reduced further, so that more and more students and entrepreneurs, they can open accounts.
I can say something about this. I think that's an excellent suggestion, which we'll look into. The reason why we had put this minimum amount limit was because when we were thinking about the Roshan Digital Account, the transfer charges were on the high side, as I said in my presentation as well, about $40 to $50 when you are remitting, funds back and forth. And therefore, to make it worth your while, we thought you should have a minimum amount so that even after those charges were applied, you would still have a good return on your Naya Pakistan certificate investment. Now that those charges have been brought down with the help of correspondent banks, perhaps there is now, I think, some scope to revisit the minimum amount, and I think we will be open to that suggestion.
Great, thank you for that. The next theme is around ability of UK resident Pakistanis to withdraw cash from the UK ATMs, from the high street ATMs there. I think I can address this theme on behalf of the banks that. And I think it was very well covered in Dr. Saab, your presentation as well, that the debit cards that are being issued can be used worldwide on the POS machines as well as ATMs. So yes, you can withdraw pound sterling in UK using the Roshan Digital Account debit cards. You can do that. The other theme is around, because the month of Ramadan is around the corner. So a lot of questions around Zakat applicability. So the presentation covered the tax implications. So the questions are around, are these accounts exempt from Zakat, or do these customers or applicants have to take certain actions before the next month?
Sharjeel, the answer is yes, they are Zakat exempt.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarification. The last theme was around property or real estate investment. A lot of questions around that. Investment in real estate is allowed, but if the property is disposed of, those sale proceeds, can those sale proceeds be repatriated along with profit accordingly or not?
So the answer to that is that the principal amount can be repatriated anytime, but the profit that you've made on the property, that can only be repatriated 3 years after having bought the property. So you have to wait 3 years for the capital gains, but the principal itself can be repatriated anytime.
Thank you very much for that. So
maybe that the profit or the capital gains that you've made, you're very much allowed to invest it in Pakistan, for instance, in the Naya Pakistan certificates that are giving you this very attractive return, or for other purposes. It's only for the purposes of repatriation of that there is this 3 year. And the reason for that is simply to prevent fly-by-night type operations and to try to filter out those sort of flows of foreign exchange and really cater to the needs of the diaspora who are perhaps sending funds home to have a home for themselves in the future, and their needs are often longer term.
Well said, Ji. Thank you. So these are all the major themes. As I said, we State Bank and UBL teams will be responding online to all the questions raised. But thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time. It's been a pleasure. And again, looking at the engagement, we will be sharing feedback with all of you subsequently, the kind of questions raised and areas of interest, concerns and complaints as well. But thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I say, Baqir, I think as we come out of the coronavirus and there was lifting of lockdown process, especially in the UK, we're hoping that it will be life will be back to normal from 19th of June onwards. If that is true, then it'll be my pleasure to host you and see you in person and host you here in London at your convenience, including at the House of Lords. So you can meet some of the investors and people who have questions and queries and who want to participate in this digital Roshan account personally.
Thank you, Lord Zamir Sahib. Very much appreciate your kind invitation, and also very much looking forward to taking you up on your invitation and also having a first-hand direct interaction with the diaspora in the UK and making ourselves available to the overseas Pakistanis to address any further questions that they may have and take their feedback for how we can continue to evolve and improve this product as well. So thank you for that invitation.
I think we'll add great value. Your presence will add value to this process. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, all this team presenters. Really appreciate it. And as they say, dur rahe ke bhi paas. So inshallah, we'll talk to you soon physically when we are in London. Thank you. Till then,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank you, Ji.